Tonight on CFTK-TV, Guns and Hoses makes its return to the terrace community. The Grey Cup went down last night in Vancouver, and Air Canada looks to create solutions for lost luggage.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, I'm Damian Smith, and thank you for joining us here on CFTK-TV. Well, after not running in 2023, the Terrace firefighters and RCMP swapped out their uniforms for hockey equipment as they played in Guns and Hoses, which is known as a staple in the Terrace community. And while the firemen did get the win on the ice with a 7-4 victory over the RCMP at the Terrace Sportsplex main arena, the biggest winner looks to be Jumpstart for Kids, who are the ones that will be receiving all the donations from the game, and earlier reports are alleging that the game was able to bring in over $12,000, but the donation should be quite big regardless of the actual number. And the Canadian Football League's Grey Cup made its yearly appearance yesterday evening, and despite the BC Lions losing in the semifinals, BC Place still had a lively atmosphere between the Toronto Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and Ben Milger from CTV was able to make a stop there.
Led by journeyman backup quarterback Nick Arbuckle, the underdog Toronto Argonauts stunned the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 41-24 to win the Grey Cup, but Canadian football fans were also winners this week. Arbuckle threw for 250 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Toronto's defense came up big with 4 interceptions to help seal the win and kickstart the celebration.
Oh man, it was amazing. I love the Argos, and it's so great to see that.
It's a 50-50 chance. One person has to win, one person has to lose. And it was the best Grey Cup week ever.
The game itself is the marquee event, but it's all the other festival activities that keep Canadian football fans traveling for the game year after year. Estimates put the economic spin-off for Vancouver businesses in the neighborhood of $125 million as fans fill hotels and spread their cash around at bars and restaurants. Throughout downtown, people have been sporting jerseys from every team in the league, many reconnecting with rival fans they met at previous Grey Cups. Festival organizers hosted a variety of family-friendly activities throughout the week, along with an all-Canadian concert lineup each night at the Vancouver Convention Center.
We got here Thursday night and we went to the Grey Cup Festival, the street party, zip line, all the stuff.
I think it's been excellent. I was here the last time BC held the Grey Cup, and there wasn't this much enthusiasm as there is now. And seeing the festivals downtown here and everything, I think it's great.
More than 52,000 fans attended the game. Not quite a sellout, but still respectable considering the hometown BC Lions weren't in it. All in all, fans have rated this another very successful Grey Cup week. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
And Kitimat's RCMP recently put out a report on what they had encountered during the earlier half of November. In one of the more uncommon cases they listed, saw a chainsaw stolen on November 10th from a shed on a Nechako neighborhood residence. However, the item does not appear to be found just yet. And anyone who may have any information that could lead to it being discovered is asked to call the Kitimat RCMP at 250-632-7111. And another documented case saw a pair of officers manage to take 2 impaired drivers off of the road on the same day right around the same time, with one vehicle being stopped on Wakashian Boulevard and the other was discovered on Tsimshian Boulevard as well. Now, solutions may be coming to customers who experience lost baggage, with Air Canada expected to use digital tags on their luggage going forward. And the customers will also be able to track their own luggage as well. Here's Paul Hollingsworth with CTV News.
It's a nightmare for travelers, losing your luggage at the airport.
They told me that it's in Toronto, it's coming later today.
Until then, this U.S. visitor will hang around and wait for an update.
As long as it all comes, we'll be good.
The retrieval process for lost bags could soon be much smoother. Apple has announced a new feature that will help users locate their bags with AirTags. Travelers attach the tech to their luggage and share the location of an AirTag with Air Canada.
If they do lose your luggage and they do find it somewhere where it wasn't supposed to be, do they have the processes in place to get it to you as quickly as possible?
In an email to CTV News, an Air Canada spokesperson said it will allow customers to securely share the location of their baggage containing AirTags directly with our baggage service team. This Air Canada flyer calls it a welcome and user-friendly option.
It's another tool so people can help them out, for that matter. Say, yeah, it's in the terminal. Here it is, according to my iPad.
This new AirTag feature will be available in most regions worldwide, allowing people to track their bags regardless of where they travel.
I think consumers should see it as a positive step, even though they have to put in their own costs to purchase those Apple trackers. But again, it's just one extra feature that can make you feel a lot better if you're traveling, especially if you're traveling with valuables in your checked luggage.
So far, Air Canada is the only Canadian airline that will use the AirTag luggage tracking system, which could be in place by the end of the year. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
And according to a new release put out by BC Transit, they are soon going to cease the selling of their legacy fare products in the major Northwest transit systems. So on December 1st, items like the monthly passes or the 10-ride tickets will not be available to anyone who uses the regional transit systems in Terrace, Kitimat, or Smithers. But BC Transit is launching several other new products to go along with the various changes they are making, like single rides, 10-day passes, as well as 30-day passes as well. And it was also noted that prices for these newer products would be similar to the ones in place for the legacy fares. And it's not exactly hot wiring, but car thieves are now finding creative ways to break into cars and to find a way to get on the steering wheel as well. Here's John Woodward of CTV News.
So what was that sound?
That's it sending its encoded signal to the car.
The sound of the radio waves sent by the key fob of my car. Trouble is, this generic key fob can be programmed to do the same thing.
These two are identical.
Right.
The key has been cloned by using high-tech devices intended for locksmiths, but that have fallen into the hands of thieves. Police say that's now the leading method to steal cars, adding up to more than $1.5 billion in losses last year. The device is easily available. W5 bought one online and used it on a car in under an hour. Assigned radio expert Michael Walker says that thieves have the upper hand.
Somebody came up with a solution and somebody canned it. And put it on Amazon.
And so is the genie out of the bottle here?
Yes, certainly.
Unacceptable, says NDP MP Brian Massey, who is calling for car companies to increase their security.
But if they're not secure, there has to be some responsibility on the car companies about, creating expectations for consumers that they can't deliver on.
Some manufacturers offering app-based solutions to immobilize a car, even if a cloned key is there. But that's only for new cars. Updating older cars is still a challenge. The federal government adding new charges to the criminal code, including possessing these devices with intent to steal. Locksmiths propose going further, saying just having one without being a licensed locksmith should be an offense under provincial rules. Ontario not ruling that out.
We're here to listen. We're here to listen to stakeholders that have good ideas.
Through it all, Walker warns the restrictions shouldn't be so severe they stifle innovation.
If we shut that down here and schools can't learn and break things and learn things, then where are we going to be in 15 years?
Although in this area, it seems the thieves are the most innovative of all. John Woodward, CTV News.
Coming up next, Canadian cities look towards Toronto as they cut out a large portion of their downtown bike lanes. Welcome back. Well, widely known as one of the busiest cities in the world when it comes to traffic, Toronto announced a little while back that they will be removing a large amount of bike lanes. And as other cities look on, they seem to be giving cyclists a little bit more room. Here's Kathy Lee from CTV in Calgary.
When a bike lane opens, the process isn't always a smooth ride.
What's not surprising is sort of the feeling or the fight about roadway space.
Many were worried about roadway space in Calgary after the city made a controversial bike network permanent in 2016. The sentiment echoed in Vancouver in 2009.
Ridiculous!
When the first permanent cycle lane opened on the Burrard Street Bridge.
What this is going to do is going to cause a lot of traffic jams.
Now, more than 1 million cyclists roll through without a gridlock. But despite the success, the country's largest city could see itself backpedal on existing bike lanes as the Ford government puts the wheels in motion to remove them from 3 main Toronto roads.
This is not okay. This is overstepping local democracy.
The city will be slower and have worse traffic overall.
But for the average person, their view of the impact of bike lanes differ. A Nanos research study reveals the majority of Canadians believe that bike lanes on the road worsen traffic and support spending tax dollars on building bicycle infrastructure, not on roadways.
It speaks to the challenge that people see with bike lanes. Yeah, there's a problem, but there's also a potential solution, at least that a majority of Canadians support.
People don't really know how bike lanes work because we have very few bike lanes in the country.
Often in the research what we find is that bike lanes help improve traffic flow.
Experts say the assumption is that opening up more vehicle lanes would reduce congestion, but a phenomenon called induced traffic results in the opposite effect. That's because when another lane is added, people perceive more opportunities to travel and may respond by driving more, which can lead to more traffic congestion. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Now, turning to tonight's weather in the Prince Rupert area, it should be 3 degrees today with a cloudy conditions with a 30% chance of showers along with the risk of thunderstorms sometime after midnight, and winds will be coming from the southeast at 20 kilometers per hour, increasing to 50 at times. In the Terrace and Kitimat region, it should be cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries this evening and after overnight. However, it will clear up before the morning, and winds will be 20 kilometers per hour later this evening with a low of -4 and a wind chill of -11. And finally, the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District should have a pretty clear night with light winds at 15 kilometers per hour with a low of -11. And now onto your weekly weather forecast. On the coast, there is a special weather statement with high winds coming from the southeast, along with some more sun than usual, especially heading into the later part of the week and the weekend. The high will be 7 degrees tomorrow, and the low will be -8 on Saturday night. In the Terrace and Kitimat region, it will be back and forth this week between sunny, cloudy, and snowing conditions, so don't expect any rain this week. The high will be 1 degree tomorrow, and the low will be -6 on Friday night. And the Bulkley Valley should have a similar pattern this week with a little bit more snow than expected in the Terrace and Kitimat region, and the high will be -2 tomorrow, and the low will be -14 on Saturday night. And now we take a look at our Northwest roadside report, where we now approach the season to be more cautious about road conditions. On Highway 16, there is utility work on Haida Gwaii, slushy sections between Port Edward and Lower Skeena Provincial Park, electrical maintenance west of Terrace, blowing snow from Fort Fraser to Prince George, utility work in Vanderhoof. On Highway 37, there are slippery sections, roadside brushing between Cranberry Bridge number 2 and Highway 37A. Highway 37A has slippery sections and bridge maintenance. The Nishka Highway has fog patches and slippery sections. And finally, Telegraph Creek Road also has slippery sections. And now on to our roadside cameras from around the Northwest. Still to come, why many are adamant on putting harsher punishment on those who cross the Canada and U.S. border. Welcome back. Well, after the death of a family that attempted to cross over the border from Canada to the United States, many are calling for more serious punishment for the ones who were transporting the migrants. Kamal Karamali from CTV has more.
It's been almost 3 years since a family from India was found frozen to death here near the border between Manitoba and Minnesota. Now Harsh Kumar Patel and Steve Shand will stand trial this week on human smuggling charges. Prosecutors allege as part of their operation, Patel would drop migrants near the border in Manitoba. They would walk across and Shand would pick them up on the U.S. side. But in mid-January of 2022, blizzard conditions and wind chill below minus 35 Celsius left Jagdish Patel, his wife Veshalabin, and their 2 children dead. Autopsies confirmed they died from hypothermia a few meters from the border.
Our law enforcement has to slam down hard to try and prevent future occurrences.
The Patel family, one of many Indian migrants who make the trip to Canada only to cross the border to the U.S. With illegal immigration an ongoing issue for both countries, lawyers hope this trial will have a ripple effect in Canada by having Canadian Border Services focus less on deportation and focus more on punishing smugglers.
They go after the students and the workers and the people who get here, and then they hit them for misrepresentation, and they deport them. But the people behind the whole schemes are the ones who seem to be getting away with it.
Raising concern, human smugglers won't stop until a clear message is sent.
History shows that smugglers, no matter how hard you punish them, simply find other employees to do their evil task.
Well, online scams for tickets have been a common occurrence, especially for concerts where fans can be taken advantage of when their favorite artist rolls into town. And that has been the case for one group of teenagers who were eagerly ready to go see Taylor Swift in Toronto. However, it does not seem like that will be possible for them going forward. Here's Kimberly Johnson from CTV News.
Picking out their Eras Tour outfits and building friendship bracelets. These 5 friends, longtime Swifties, excited to see their idol in person.
It's pretty much all we talk about. It's all we've been talking about for over a year. They are absolutely ecstatic. My daughter knows every Taylor Swift song, every word, every album, every era, everything.
Mom Melanie Keogh says the 14 and 15-year-olds were part of a large cohort of family and friends who all purchased tickets together, which they say has now turned into a nightmare.
For the girls to have to break to them that we weren't going was horrendous.
They say 32 people purchased tickets through a ticket broker, losing about $25,000 in the process in all.
And then here's confirmation.
Seat sections.
Yeah.
The tickets for the November 23rd show were purchased for the group in August. Patricia Keogh says she had used the broker before and nothing seemed amiss. Seat numbers and confirmation all came in, but a few weeks ago, everything started to unravel.
That's really upsetting that we let our family down. And it feels like we let our family down. That how could we have not seen this? How did we get duped? We're smart people.
The family has filed a police report and contacted lawyers. But for them, it's not about the money. It's about missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime bonding experience.
It's all gone. All of it's gone.
Resale tickets for the November 23rd show are selling for at least $3,000 apiece, far out of the group's budget.
I still hope that there's a way to get them to a concert. I still hope.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
And now we take a look at the stock market, where we have an increase in all but one category. The Canadian dollar is up about 0.2 cents. The price of gold is up about $45. Oil is up $2.14. Natural gas is up 15 cents. Aluminum is up 147.5. In Toronto, the TSX is up over 86 points. The Venture Index is up about 3. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 55, and NASDAQ is up 111. Still ahead, Ukraine looks to attack Russia, with Canada and the United States supporting these moves. Well, Joe Biden and the United States are now giving the green light to Ukraine to fire into Russia, with Justin Trudeau supporting the move as well. Garrett Berry of CTV News has the rest.
These are MGM-140 Army tactical missile systems, powerful supersonic missiles
that Ukrainian forces have used against Russian bases inside Ukraine's old borders, but never inside Russian land. That could change. Today, outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden's administration signaled a massive shift. It has now given Ukrainian forces the green light to fire American weapons into Russia. Ukraine is said to be preparing an attack in the coming days. Tonight, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky told his citizens their actions won't be announced, but missiles speak for themselves. The American decision comes after months of petitioning by Ukrainian politicians.
We can't only be fighting on the Ukrainian territory with just trying to defend ourselves from the attacks. No country can win just by defense.
It's a bid to give Ukraine more power and more leverage in negotiations that are expected to enter a new phase when Donald Trump returns to the White House in January. But warnings, too, from United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres, who said today must not mark a permanent escalation in the war.
Peace in Ukraine by following the UN Charter.
All the while, it's been a day of attacks inside Ukraine from Russia. Russia launched more than 100 missiles and 90 drones. Today, blackouts across the country, residents huddled into warming stations and water lineups. In Sumy, Ukrainian prosecutors said 7 adults and 1 child were killed when a Russian missile hit a residential building. 10 more people were injured. Ukrainian officials say the attacks caused further damage to power grid infrastructure already weakened and weathered by war. No end in sight for a war that's nearing its 3rd anniversary. Garrett Berry, CTV News.
And with the video game Roblox being very popular among younger children, reports have continued to come out citing graphic content in many different forms being an issue in this online game. Here's Becky Worley of ABC News.
Roblox, the online gaming environment that's wildly popular with kids.
You're like up in Roblox.
Is debuting new parental controls where parents can use their own device to modify how much time their children can spend playing. They can lock down the child's private messaging options and choose the maturity level of the content their kids can engage with.
She started to receive chats that were inappropriate.
These new controls will give parents like Naomi Galates more visibility and control from their own parental devices.
With this new system, it would be really great to see what she's requesting, even though we're not side by side.
And Roblox turning off private chat for its youngest users.
So in a game, kids can still chat with one another in the game, but what we have turned off by default is one-to-one chat in the game experience itself.
These new controls in part a response to criticism from child online watchdog Common Sense Media. One dad we spoke with says his son came across graphic content even when age restrictions were in place.
There was a depiction of a sexual act in the clouds that was very obviously something quite graphic.
When Common Sense showed me similar content in 2022, it was a lot.
I just saw anti-Semitic speech.
Yes.
I saw hate speech against people of color. I saw kids talking about school and tons of discussion of sexual acts.
Yes, yeah. And that's the thing is that's just one experience. There are millions upon millions of experiences uploaded to Roblox every single day.
Roblox says inappropriate content like this is against the rules and standards of the game, and that they are using thousands of human moderators and AI to police it.
And that will be all for tonight's cast. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good night.